There is a version of this story the public sees, carefully packaged and polished. And then there is the deeper, hidden version. On the surface, she stands, composed, measured, speaking with precision, offering gratitude and updates while the world watches. Millions admire this string and share videos, comments, and prayers for her missing mother. But what most people do not grasp is that this visible narrative is only the beginning. Beneath it lies a far more complex, multi-layered tragedy. It is a story of private fear, unspoken pain, and the emotional weight carried silently behind every public statement and carefully controlled expression. A life of achievement. At 54, she had achieved what most dream of: a career built on decades of hard work, sacrifice, and resilience. She had navigated professional challenges that would have ended lesser careers, raised children under relentless public scrutiny, and earned the respect of viewers and colleagues alike. By this stage of life, most expect the rewards of decades of effort, a sense of arrival, stability, and recognition. But none of that preparation or accomplishment shields against the sudden, unimaginable disruption that now defines her existence. Everything she had built, every moment of careful planning and persistent effort, is suddenly overshadowed by a crisis no achievement can solve. February 1st, 2026. Everything changed on that Sunday morning. Her mother's home was discovered empty, and authorities confirmed what had become a terrifying reality. An 84-year-old woman had been taken against her will. The word kidnapping now attached itself to someone millions recognized, not just as an elderly woman, but as a mother. From that moment, her life split into two simultaneous tracks. There was the public track, where she had to remain composed and careful, aware that any misstep could complicate the investigation. And there was the private track, a daughter facing the terrifying unknown, powerless and desperate for her mother's safety. The physical threat. The first layer of tragedy is the most immediate and visible. The physical danger to her mother. At 84, she relies on daily heart medication to survive, and each passing hour without it increases the risk to her life. The kidnapper's actions put her in a situation where time was not simply about ransom negotiations. It was about a fragile body nearing physiological limits. This awareness, harrowing and relentless, has accompanied her every moment since the disappearance. Even as she faced cameras and controlled statements, she bore the knowledge that her mother's very survival was at stake. Most people would collapse under such knowledge. She carries it while functioning for the world. The burden of performance. Her ability to maintain composure is not merely professional, it is born of a lifetime of expectation. She learned early that strength was a requirement, that vulnerability was private, and that the world only rewards those who perform. But the ability to perform does not erase the fear, the anguish, or the sleepless moments filled with uncertainty. It masks it, creating a tension between the visible composure and the private terror. This duality defines the tragedy of her current circumstances. She must appear invincible publicly, while grappling privately with the impossible uncertainty of her mother's fate. The unseen, emotional layer. Beyond fear and danger lies an even deeper tragedy, the emotional complexity of her relationship with her mother. Her mother loved her fiercely, shaping a life built on high expectations and the pursuit of excellence. But love expressed through discipline, standards, and the demand for invincibility leaves a lingering question in the child who receives it. Am I enough? No amount of achievement, public admiration, or career success fully answers this. The question persists silently, shaping every interaction and every internal calculation. In this moment of crisis, the absence of the one person who could provide a definitive answer makes the emotional pain almost unbearable. A lifelong question. For decades, she has asked the same question, quietly and persistently. Am I enough? Not as a professional, not as a public figure, not as a mother or colleague, but simply as a person. The answer she seeks, the unconditional affirmation that would allow her to stop striving so relentlessly, has always come from the person now missing. Her mother's love, however deep, came with an unspoken expectation: strength as proof of worth. And now, in the most testing of circumstances, she is confronted with the absence of the one who could finally say, plainly and unequivocally, that she has always been enough. The weight of public scrutiny. The public sees only composure, but the private reality is far more exhausting. Every statement, every gesture, every word is scrutinized, analyzed, and shared. Millions look to her for calm, leadership, and reassurance, while her own heart races with fear. The split between public responsibility and private anguish amplifies the tragedy. She must balance personal devastation with professional poise, awareness that any error could endanger her mother further or compromise in the investigation. It is a pressure few could bear, and she does so under the relentless gaze of a nation watching in real time. The gift of unconditional love. One observer noted that the greatest gift her mother could give now is not advice or instruction. It is 3 simple words that require no performance. I love you, not because of accomplishment or composure, not as a reward or acknowledgement, but purely because she is hers. These words, simple yet profound, are the ones she has been waiting for her entire life. The absence of this affirmation magnifies every other layer of tragedy. Her mother's love shaped her, but the demand for invincibility left an unfulfilled need for unconditional affirmation, a need that is painfully highlighted in this moment of crisis. The quiet tragedy. The tragedy here is not cinematic or public. It is quiet, intimate, and deeply human. It is the tragedy of a woman celebrated for decades, admired for brilliance and composure, yet still searching for a simple affirmation she has never fully heard. It is a tragedy that does not make headlines because it does not produce dramatic visuals, only the subtle, relentless ache of longing. It is compounded by the dual pressures of personal grief and public expectation, each amplifying the other, leaving a woman under immense stress, yet still performing for the world. The hope for resolution amid this layered tragedy. There remains hope, the return of her mother. When she walks through the door, the moment will carry far more than relief. It will carry the fulfillment of a lifelong need. The words she has waited decades to hear, "You are enough," will finally be spoken. Nothing else she has done or achieved will matter as much as the quiet, unconditional acknowledgement of love from the one person whose affirmation has always mattered most. In that moment, the heavy burden of performance and fear may finally lift, replaced by the simple, unshakable reassurance of being loved completely. The full weight of tragedy. This story is not just about a missing mother, it is about decades of expectation, unspoken questions, and the pressure of living a life constantly observed. It is about the intricate interplay of personal vulnerability and public composure, and the way unresolved emotional needs magnify in moments of extreme crisis. She stands as a figure of remarkable strength, but beneath that strength lies the quiet ache of a daughter, longing for a love that is unconditional, visible, and unambiguous. It is a tragedy defined not by spectacle, but by the depth of human need and absence. Conclusion: a daughter's need. The deepest truth of this moment is clear. She needs her mother to come home. Not as a symbol, not as a headline, not as a puzzle for public consumption, but as the person who can finally offer the affirmation that has shaped a lifetime of striving. When that reunion occurs, the words she has waited for, "You are enough, always enough, loved exactly as you are," will finally be spoken. Until then, the world witnesses composure, but only she knows the weight of absence. This is the heart of the story, the true tragedy, and the ultimate hope. The return of the mother and the long-awaited assurance of unconditional love.